Righto, Jill, thanks for your time again, and we're on now. And as indicated, we've got 6 questions in the first component of our discussion today that we'd like to run through. It's great for you to invite us into your sanctuary, into your workshop, where the energy happens, the flow happens. We appreciate that. So what we'll do is we've got 6, and that's about, as Leighton said, about 10 minutes each. So we'll take about an hour for this section. So please feel free to free zone what your responses are, and we'll add a little bit. We will need to try and stick to the 10 minutes each, roughly, per question. So the first one is, what we find in the crafters that we're on about, they're very passionate about a particular project that they're doing or they have done. And in the parlance of where I come from, that historical parlance, that's called the exemplar project, or in the medieval period, the journeyman's piece, journey person's piece. And so you have an exemplar project. This is your exemplar project here in your jewellery making. Is that right? Yeah. So would you like to tell us a little bit about that and what you find gives you energy and zoom and pumps for you in this period you've been at for many years, please?
Thank you. I think what it does for me is it offers me a sense of freedom to just escape from the day-to-day world, I suppose, in a lot of ways. And I just have a massive love of learning. I like creating things. I like pretty things. I must admit, jewellery making, you go through a very ugly stage before it becomes pretty, so sometimes it can be distressing. But because I've been doing it for a little while now, you kind of realise, okay, this is just got to go with the ugly stage, and then it starts to shine. So you see growth, development out of each piece that you do, and out of the mistakes, or I shouldn't say mistakes, out of the challenges that I give myself, I sit there until I can, get a result. Sometimes I have to put it to the side and just let it think about it, and then go off on a couple of other projects. And then eventually I've got probably 3 or 4 projects going at one time and going, well, where do I go now? But so there's variety. I suppose it comes down to, I've got, definitely 3 strong core values, and that's creativity, flexibility, and connection. Connection with people. So that's where my hairdressing comes into. But also too, when I'm making jewellery for people, I am connecting to people, because I'm connecting to people through their stories. They bring stuff to me, materials, old gems, old stones, and I resurrect them and change them into something that's new so they can wear them today. So there's so much variety.
Julie mentioned before about the ugly stage.
Mm.
Could you tell us a bit more about that?
The ugly stage. It can be quite frightful, because you just go, how can this work? And how can this beautiful piece of gold look like this? But that's once you start learning and growing and evolving with things, you realise that's just a stage, so you don't get too freaked out about it.
So you're trying to bring something that you've designed in your head through that ugly stage?
Yeah, and I have a few people say to me, how do your pictures go? Do you draw and sketch? Every time I draw something or sketch something, it never turns out. Mm. So I seem to be a free-form designer, creator. Mm. So when I make something, I have a collection in my range, which I call Belfiore, which is golden flowers. And these are, which I line with gold leaf in the end. So yeah, it starts off like this, cutting it out,
Wow.
cutting pieces out,
Right.
just chopping away, or sawing, and then I create a form. So there's a flower, and then I'll beat it. And I've got 2 components on that at the moment, so circle and then the
soldered,
base.
is it?
That's
There
soldered.
we go.
And then I'll solder the post or the ear,
And put gold foil on it.
and then I put gold foil on it. But I'll hand beat it. There's a whole process to the gold foil. And at this point in time, I think I'm about the only person in the world
Ah.
that does a lot with gold foil. I don't know if in the world, but I know in Australia because it's so timely. And if anyone's looking for being paid for what they do, you wouldn't be getting paid
You
for
get the
what
money
you
back
do.
on
Yeah, so I think that defers a lot of people, but I just love it. When I put the gold on, just what it forms, the gold foil, it just has all this reflection and texture, and it does, and it pops. Yeah, everything pops, and I go through this ugly stage of, I call this the ugly stage. I call this sort of stuff the ugly stage because it's like it's a bit boring and foul. I haven't got any of the golden pieces that are actually outside. And it just kind of, you just go, oh, no wonder I do this.
Yeah, I'm just
What
curious about how did you start doing that? Like, just to...
Do you know how?
Where did it come from? Where did it come from?
Again, this was, I had a lot of people, I did a lot of silver work, mainly silver. I wouldn't even touch brass or copper. That was beneath me. That was learned stuff sort of thing, that was real base metal market stuff. Whereas now I seem to be working a lot in brass and copper. And then I put the gold on top because it's just, people aren't going to spend a lot of money on solid gold, large piece like this. So I had to make it affordable. And so I started doing it in silver. And then I found that silver, if the idea with the earrings especially was they were to be lightweight, they wouldn't hurt or be heavy on ears. And this was when big earrings came back in, and I've always loved big earrings. And so that's how a lot of it started. And so I made this piece in silver, and I had some gold leaf that I bought quite some time ago. And I was, I had that sitting there. I thought, I'm sure you could just sprinkle a little bit of that on. Well, that was just sitting over this side of the table on its little fine tissue paper, the little books that they come in. And this piece rolled into the gold leaf.
Wow.
And I went, I quite like that.
Let's go with it.
And that's how it started.
Oh, right.
And then I went into, then people became more interested in it. And then the gold, and then the silver it's heavier in weight when you put it on for the same size. And so copper's actually lighter. I'm sure you guys understand that. I don't know the technicalities on all of that, but all the wording. But yeah, so I went with copper to start with, and I still do use copper from time to time because it's really malleable. But gold, when the gold leaf starts to scratch away, like I actually put several layers on, and I coat it with an epoxy to kind of really help longevity, and like perfume, sweat, hairspray, oils, all that sort of stuff. So copper can get a little bit green. So I kind of have pulled away from that a little bit, and then I've gone for brass, so that when the brass when it comes through, it's still a bit golden. So, but that's another aspect of the jewellery. You get this beautiful aged look. So it goes from something that's really bright and bold. And if people personally know me, or even a purchase from my site, and they, down the track, they love that piece and they want it freshened up, as a cost, I will refreshen that up. But it's not dipped as such, electroplated. I hand put it on myself. So, and that's quite timely.
So you can have it with patina, you can have it with the patina, or you can freshen it up.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, and it's amazing how many people like the patina look. You know, they like that, you know, because brass can go dark as well. It oxidizes in time, so you get that real, you know, aged, really aged look. Yeah.
So a final point before Rachel asks her question. I heard you talking with Leighton before about wabi-sabi.
Yeah.
Would you like to say something about that in relation to your work?
Well, talking to you before, I'd never heard of that term. I had heard it, but I didn't understand it, obviously. I hadn't heard the full meaning behind it. But I really love that because my whole theme is about being perfectly imperfect. Yeah. So if I do have if I'm making a flower and there's a little bit of melting going on, I go, ooh, I can now say wabi-sabi. Because I will then use that and change the whole shape, and then I'll come up with something completely, you know, not completely different, but it's an altered image or an altered, you know, foundation of the so-called template, which makes it very unique.
Very cool. So next, we're interested in how your project affects you. What's the inner dynamic of
what does it do for you personally? It makes me feel, it's a silly thing to say I suppose, but it makes me feel quite complete. If we're going on down the emotional side of it, I just get lost in it, and I kind of, it gives me confidence. It removes any sort of panic or fear I'm going through, or worry or concern. I just think, you know what, I just want the world out there to stop for me, and I just want to come in here, and that's what it does. And then before I know it, I've finished that job, you know, or what have you for somebody, and that job's done. So it helps me, yeah, mentally.
Sounds like a very centering sort of thing.
Yeah.
Way to say that.
Yeah, very centered. It just brings me back to the here and now, you know. It's just better than meditation. I love to meditate too, but it's just, it's wholesome. And I just put my earplugs on, and I might listen to a podcast or a book or something, and that just goes in the background while I'm ticking along, so that I don't start overthinking. Because as you must probably know yourself, when you do a few things, after a while it becomes auto, and then you start overthinking other things. So, yeah. So the AirPods in my ears. And it also helps if I'm hammering or beating out. It helps with, instead of wearing ear muffs, I've just got my earphones, and it looks after my ears.
So as part of your workplace health and safety
protection,
to kind of, it's just
even though
earplugs with music.
Even though I did hear from an ear, nose and throat specialist that actually is, earphones are the best things for us, but anyway. Better than the banging.
Better than the banging. Is there the dynamic? I'm just not sure about the going on to the next one, or do we just stay with?
Have we finished this question? I'll take the next question.
I suppose that like when you're also talking about coming, you know, bringing yourself to it, like, you know, in the starting it, why jewelry making? Like what?
That's a good question. It was like, it's so weird. I went down to Sydney to my kids were only little. And so I started doing this about 2004. I started playing around, just beading. And it was my niece, who was 12 at the time, and she was bead making. And she said, Auntie Jilly, do you want me to show you how to do it? And I said, yeah, okay. So I started bead making with her and making necklaces. And then they took me to this shop down there, and I went, oh my God, this is another place. So that's how it started. And it sounds really weird. Like, as a young girl, I've always loved, and I've gone into probably making a lot of flowers and florally things. But I like to make them look different. And I love pearls because each one is separate. Each one's different, you know, whether it's a Baroque or even, You know, they try and make a perfectly round one. There's no such thing as a perfectly round natural pearl. So they're the two things that I've most probably continued on all the way through. And, you know, special gemstones. I love all the different, I love sapphires, different gemstones. But going back to that, that's how it all started. And then finding out that these stones, you know, came from the earth. And I knew all of that, but didn't really. So it opened up, wow, these are natural formed, you know, stones, pieces of rock, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, just stemmed from that. And then the creative side of me came into it. As a young child, Mum and Dad, Mum was a potter, Dad was a cabinet maker. And he was actually a bank manager, accountant, bank manager back in those days. And then he always, every weekend he was making things, and then of course we would do things. Mum was potting, and she used to do pottery exhibitions, so we did all that. She was a sewer, so we sewing all around. So I can remember I was very young. I was the youngest in the family, and she taught my sister how to sew and everything, and I just couldn't handle not being able to do it. So I was just a very naughty girl and went down to the sewing room and cut up some of her very, very expensive fabric and made an A-line skirt, and even taught myself how to put the zip in and made a zip, and I took it upstairs to show her, and she was gobsmacked that I could actually make this little skirt. But then I also got into trouble. But she was really quite, because it was always, oh no, you're too young, you'll ruin the sewing machine, or you won't know how to use the scissors properly, or you cut yourself, because Mum was a panic merchant, so there was, you know, going to be fingers cut off or sewing needles gone into, you know, all that sort of stuff. So I did those sort of things, and then so I sewed a lot. And then the earrings came about because, you know, I was getting older and I had torn holes in my ears from my earrings, because when I was younger I used to wear really big earrings and they were very heavy. And so I came into the whole earring thing so that it was looking after an aged ear for elasticity and covering the ear but giving us, you know, support, not too heavy. So it kind of weaved down that way as well.
Yeah.
And then now I'm really into stone setting and making lovely rings and, you know, just variety of things. So
I love hearing, you know, when you're talking about that sort of design brief almost of, you know, getting the weight down, and then all the technical knowledge about the different materials and, you know, how to achieve that light but big. And I suppose that's, you know, you were saying about you like pretty things. You know, but you need to have your earlobes
comfortable. It needs to be comfortable. And it's even the same with a necklace or rings. They, you know, you don't want them to be rolling around your finger because they're too heavy on one side or what have you. Claws, as much as some of the rings are beautiful with the claws, but they can catch on things. So there's a nice way of making a nice ring. And I think this comes from my hairdressing, is that when someone comes to have their hair done, I do, especially the first time, ask a lot of questions and I think, oh, just cut my hair, for God's sake. No, it's not about that, because when you go home, you need to manage it. You need to be comfortable with it. You're wearing it every day. I don't want you to go, oh my God, she really stuffed my hair up. I can't manage it. You know, I don't want to be that bad person in your house on your day-to-day thing. So I'm an overthinker. So I think beyond just this moment. You know, it's got to be comfortable. It's got to work. It's got to make you happy. One of my big mottos is, you know, feel good, look fabulous, or look fabulous and feel great, you know, and that's a really important thing, is that, I can do anything. I can make anything for you. I can make your hair look any sort of way, but if you can't manage it and it's not making you feel good, then I'm not doing my job. Yeah. Well, I don't think I do. Yeah, feel. Does that?
You make me feel good.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So you were saying before that sometimes when you're feeling a bit frustrated, you can come down here and beat it out of you.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So I'm interested how you see that as a two-way process, because in a way, the outside world, one can get a bit down and come here and work it out. But also, I suggest it works it in as well, doesn't it? By coming here, you get yourself or help yourself get into a state of flow, maybe.
Yes,
It's a two-way process, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. It's, I think, come in and, there's that side of it. Like if you're really cranky, you can beat away and on some metal or what have you, and then you get into, and then it just takes me into that happy place of, wow, I'm going to make someone happy out of this.
Oh.
Yeah. So it kind of removes me. But then I can come down here as happy as and leave frustrated.
That's right. That's pretty zen, that. It's zen. Z-E-N, zen.
Yeah.
That takes you to a happy place. Okay, so that's that one?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Rachel. So the next one is about how what you're doing works in with other people around you. And I was taken by a comment you said before about how you integrate people's stories into the art, the craft that you're making for them. So their narrative, their lived life affects what you do for them, and what you do for them affects their lived life. Yeah. So this one is about how what you're doing here helps other people around you that you're working for and with.
So how do I help people feel better? Do you mean?
Yes.
Well, when it comes to hair or jewellery or both. Both.
Yeah.
With hair, I do have a lot of friends that come to my salon, but into my studio. But it's really interesting. I have taught myself in those four walls. There's a kind of silence. There's a sense of professionalism that I would, if I was socially with them, it would be I'm still the same person, but there's that, kind of silent sense of...
Some boundaries.
Boundaries, in there. So helping people feel good, like I've had people walk in and I can feel the energy straight away. Things aren't good at home or wherever. And so you just let them come in and just let them evolve or what have you. And then just ask a few questions and just help them calm. And if they just don't want to talk and they've got their head in a book, you just leave them. But I often get told that I help people no matter what state they're in, whether they come in. And then there's the other side where they just offload. So I have a lot of that, and I've learnt to listen. But I've also learned to make sure I don't take that energy on as well. So I've had to, and to know sometimes it is just listening, because as females we like to help people. And I've learned if people try and help me, I just have to say, no, I just want to offload. So there's that side of things. And in the jewellery aspect, it's when somebody comes to me and says, I've got this piece that was my mother's or my auntie's or whoever. What could I do? So we sit down and we resurrect it so they can wear it. It might not be their design, what was their mother's or granny's or whoever. Or they've got heaps of pieces, or an old end of a marriage as well. We melt them all down and start again and remake, whether it's a ring, whether it's a necklace, whether it's a bangle, earrings, whatever. We just turn it into something that they're going to feel value of. And some people say to me, especially if it's a divorce, and, I don't really want the stone. And because he gave it to me or what have you. And I said, yeah, but, we can work through that, because that's actually a really beautiful, precious stone. And we can change it into something that, it doesn't have to resemble that. So sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't for people. But, there's all that sort of aspect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And how, like, it sounds like a dialogue that you'll, sometimes in those sorts of situations. Like, do you find that, how do you manage that to sort of like what ideas you have and what people are bringing to it? How do you kind of work that through?
I just listen to people and find out what makes their heart sing.
Makes their heart sing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it has to come from that because that's, like what, and you observe what they wear and what they don't wear. Like I've had some people that just never wear jewellery and they've got all this jewellery. So it then goes on, they might have daughters or something that they're going to pass it on to, so you make it for that to pass on. It's more just sit down and talk to them and find out what it is.
Does that help your heart sing?
Yeah, it does. It really does. Yeah.
Inside, outside.
Yeah. It does because, you see them happy and you feel them, you see, go back to one of my things is connection. You see them connect to their piece. And again, being flexible of what's going to work for them. It's not about me. Like, I want to be part of that and I want to be able to say my work, my workmanship and skill has made that piece for them. And they don't need to know all the technicalities, but I know, like, oh God, I actually might have learnt something while I did that piece. I may have made a bit of a mistake, but I've turned it into something. Like, I don't like using the word mistake, but you know what I mean? Like, maybe I kind of was a little bit overzealous with something and then realised, oh, that's not going to work. So it just, it creates me to problem solve.
It sounds to me like you like, rather than just, there are things that happen, that you create out of your own energy kind of thing, and even the rolling of the material into the foil. These sort of things, and it sounds like when you're creating something for someone, you like the challenge of working out what's going to be right for them. Yeah. You've got like that design brief. It's not, I have to create this from just inside my head. No,
it's got to come through the person, and that's hairdressing or the jewellery. And even if I'm coming up with something, I think, okay, what sort of woman or person, doesn't have to be necessarily be a woman, does it? Person will gravitate to this. And I know when I first started making, people would say, oh, that's too expensive, or I like that, but could you make it like this? And you think, I used to get offended. I used to think, do you, blah, blah, blah. But then I've realised now, or not now, for quite some time now, it's that when someone says, oh, can you make a smaller version of that? And you think, no. I just say no now. And they go, oh, why not? And I said, well, that then takes away from what I'm doing. And also on price, they say, oh, no, so expensive. Well, then I'm not for you. You need to go to somewhere where it's manufactured, whereas I'm an artisan. I will hand make this from woe to go. I will get the raw materials. I will roll it out. I'll melt it. I'll roll it out. I'll shape it. I'll form it. I'll put the stones in or put the gold on it or whatever it might be. That's what I do. And then as soon as you start telling someone the story, they go, oh. And, like I've had a situation just recently, like I do have it in 2 stores. And financially, that's not ideal because obviously a store has to make their income. So you're selling it to them at a far, lower rate. And in the big scheme of things, you're not actually making much out of it all. But it's a marketing tool because it's pushing you out further afield. It's taking you to places that there's no way I can get to see your product. So I look at it in that view these days. Whereas I used to initially, I used to think, oh God, they make more money than I do. They, they make a clean profit. It's materials and time that I'm getting. I'm not actually making a profit out of it. So that was very frustrating, but I've overcome that by seeing that. Now my stretch is getting, doing online sales or doing more, showcasing and things like that. So that's a better way for me to get a return on it. Now I've lost my...
Does that bring a commission in, people who will kind of come to you for then?
Yeah, so then, and then word of mouth, and then it brings people in. Yeah.
Is it Mike?
Sorry, I went on a tangent then.
We're up to that one, I think, aren't we?
Yeah, number 4.
Oh.
Yeah. And how does what you do, and I know this we're talking about this being a trickier question, how does your making fit into making a better world for, children of the future?
Children of the future. Well, I suppose, in saying, now that we've talked about it a bit, one thing that comes to my mind is that, repurposing, so it's bringing in, grandma or mum or whoever's stuff, and we can keep that going, and it keeps it going, so it's the same materials, it's the same stones, pearls, whatever it might be, and that can keep that going, but it's just been remodelled. So there's, and showing that, sustainability is a thing. We need to keep that up. We need things to last longer. The fast fashion, the throwaway needs to be really, the landfill needs to really be thought of and considered in all aspects.
From what you're saying about connection being really important to you too. I keep hearing the iterations of the stories too. That that this is a piece that you're part of the next stage of that story. Of that
Well, even Rachel with hairdressing. Like I met you, no babies, and now your baby is.
No baby.
Well, she's off overseas.
She's off overseas, and I've gone through that whole journey. So I have got quite a few of my clients where I've watched their baby turn into these beautiful young women and young men, and that again it's a story. Like it's I've had some of them come and go because I think, oh, you're not, your studio's at home and you're probably not up with the fashion and stuff, but they've all come back because they realise that, I've been around, I've gone through the whole things, and my skill set is there.
It's interesting, because I've not talked a lot with you about, your jewellery making, but as I'm sitting here and we've got Ned, who's our videographer, and Caitlin, that little girl who wasn't part of the picture when we first met, has a stone that Ned's father brought back that she's wanted us to kind of make into something special for her. And it's always that thing of like, how do we do that? And part of it is you need to find the right person. Yeah. I didn't know that you did that because all I ever saw was all your gold leaf stuff. And it's like, okay, we'd love to come and talk to you about that.
Yeah,
but that's, I think that, again, you've seen her and I know you would work with her as how you describe to make that piece special for her.
Yeah, it would be, I'd be sitting down and saying, well, what do you
wear?
Yeah, what do you wear? But also, when you see that, what does it mean to you? What is it going to, where will it take, what is the meaning long term for you in it? Do you want to be able to wear it on your finger? Do you want to wear it on a bracelet, necklace, earrings, whatever it might be? And yeah, like, would you like that to continue down the track as well? You know, like, do you want to pass it on, knowing that it might get changed into something else, you know? And metal-wise, you know, work out, is it a gold, is it silver, is it platinum, is it white gold, you know, all the different mediums. So you just, and you just, and you know, it might be at this point in time, because of cost, she might want to do it in silver. She might want a white metal, for example. This is a good example. A white metal. Silver is you know, a cheaper metal, a cheaper precious metal, and it can hold a stone and look beautiful. And then in 5 years' time, when she's got a bit more money, she might want to put it in platinum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's those aspects. If they, you know, if it's really urgent, they want it like this right now, but they haven't got the funds. So there's always alternatives. So it's talking them through that.
There's so much problem solving and sort of all the parameters that you have to consider.
And you know, like, what's the, you know, is there a sense of urgency? To be on, like, I'm just assuming it's a ring, but it might not. But is it to be on your finger right now, or are you happy to just let it sit and, you know, we can keep thinking and growing and whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you sit and talk. I talk to them because it's not about. And I when I was a young hairdresser, and I think even when I first started doing the jewellery, I thought, I really want to learn to do this. I'm going to talk them into doing that because I wanted to. There was a purpose there for me, but now I know a lot more, and that was the same with hairdressing. So I'd walk in and think, oh my God, they're going to look so good with a really punky, you know, this is back in the 80s, a real punky, red, wild hairdo, and she's a conservative lady. You know, when I was younger, I never thought of the person. I just thought, oh, my creation.
It looks so good on you.
Yeah, this poor person walks out not owning that hairstyle at all.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you didn't think of the person, you thought of the creation.
Yeah, back then. But now I think of both.
Yeah, you put them together.
I put them together, yeah.
Next question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I suppose, I suppose both of my career paths are about connecting with people. It's more than just a haircut. It's more than just a piece of jewellery. It's about, again, you know, it comes down to I like to connect.
And sort of, you know, seeing that they get meaning out of it, that the person, you know, what you're doing, that they see the meaning in it, and that, you know, I can see how that that has such value to you, you know.
Yeah. Well, I want them to love it. I want them to really own it.
Right, I think the next one, you've got a lot of parts there that you assemble and blend and so forth. And what you've done also is you've extended to the people and their narrative, their story, and how that then comes back into your design. The question is about how you integrate the parts and the whole in the parts.
How do I integrate them? I don't know. It just happens. Do you mean there's different styles that I do, or I'm not quite?
This question is trying to engage the scale or the zoom that goes on between the individual parts that you're soldering and getting together and the gold leaf that you're beating, and then the person, you know, the Caitlin and her stone, how those get integrated in what you do. That's where the secret sauce comes in.
And maybe it's sort of when you were saying about, like, you know, I started off and I just saw the creation, and it's now I see that it's both. Like, how does the both happen? You know, the connection of creation.
The gold stuff came from people liking it, I suppose, and and then demand, and then somebody saying, oh, can you make me a piece? Can you make me a piece? So then I kind of thought, oh, I can see a few people light up over this. So I created that, and then I got asked to do a couple of showcases, and that opened up even more. And then I got offered to be in a store, and that was all very good. And then everybody wants to put you in a store, and I said, I've only got 2 hands and 24 hours, and some of that I have to sleep. And I've got some hairdressing to do in there too. But so I had to really control that. So it's been a slow burn. It's been a really slow burn building it, because I don't do this full time, if you know what I mean.
So I think also you see on reflection, that is looking back on your praxis in the past, where you say you didn't used to think of the person rather the creation that you could do with the hair. And now you think about the person as well.
Yeah.
So that's the part and the whole. Integrating. And that's wisdom. I'm terribly interested in that.
I find these really hard to answer, actually, because it just happened. It just happens. And it was all about me feeling good about it. It made me feel good to watch someone else light up. Am I on the right way?
And I suppose I'm thinking that, like, perhaps, like when you said that, you know, I've grown into, like, it's more about the person than the creation. What I hear is you get so much out of seeing the heart sing, that if you just did your creation without, you know, like said, oh, that hairstyle would look great on you, but you didn't consider them, you'd probably get feedback like, this isn't me, and that wouldn't make your heart sing.
No. Yeah, I want them to be happy. Like, I love my hairdressing, and a lot of people say, are you going to give it up? And I go, no. I love it because I connect with people. This can be very solitary, the jewellery making. So without the people, I can't do the jewellery creations, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So you get some of your energy from
other people.
People.
Yeah.
So that's part of the creative process.
Yeah. So, for example, Caitlin comes in and she says, oh, what could you do that with this? And I go, oh, wow, that's beautiful. And then it rolls. And then I ask a few questions, and then she will tell me what she's thinking. And even though she might say, I've got no idea, Jilly, okay. And then I think just from my hairdressing days or abilities I've got to come up with a solution, so I need to find the questions to ask to get them to talk and to give me the keys, give me the pointers, so that I go, okay, why don't we try this and that? And then I suppose my mind's going through all the things that I know, and then I'll often use a picture book or say, have you got anything you've seen?
Picture book that you made?
No, I'll go online, to be honest, and I might just go, if someone says a pearl earring, or hair dye. It's normally hair that I do it with, but I do a lot of screenshotting of different pieces of jewellery that I really like or I aspire to, and I'll go back and say, look, would any of these, do you like the look of those? And that gives me an idea of the direction. They might go, oh God, no, that's way too big, or oh no, I want something a lot bigger, or what have you. So I do find a picture speaks volumes, because a lot of people can't
express what they look like. I remember you doing that with Caitlin's formal
hair.
Yeah,
and also too, like I could, like brown hair to you and me is to blonde hair. What's blonde to you? What's brown to you? Like, that's different. You two would have both a different view to that. It's like a flower. Would you like a big flower or a small flower? What are you thinking of a daisy and you're thinking of a rose? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different interpretations.
I think that's answered the question really well, just in terms of how it's that communicative process to sort of uncover what where people are coming from, how people will see things.
Yeah.
But that sounds like it takes a lot of time. I remember, in the beginning you were saying people don't do foil because it's just way too expensive.
No, solid gold.
Or solid
gold.
gold. But,
Yeah.
but then even you were saying that what you're doing with the gold, not many people work with gold.
No,
gold,
I know, I see what
gold.
you mean. Yeah, making it. They wouldn't, it's because they'd rather go and they'll make it and then get it electroplated so it goes into, it goes into the hole. But which, can be done really well, but it can also be done really cheaply. So you just have one shower and the gold comes off.
So why do you take that time hit to do it?
I just, the result is second to none. It just looks so much, there's more texture, there's more, I don't know, it's just more, there's more in it.
So if I may suggest, I think that's in this question, your secret sauce. It's almost naturalised, so it's hard to interrogate it. It's hard to surface it. See, that's very creative. Like Rachel was saying, there's a heap in what you're doing.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Next question.
So I think this is our last question.
Yeah.
It's just what have you learnt from all this process, and how do you share this learning?
What have I learned? I've learned a lot about people. I've learned a lot about myself in the respect of how being creative and handy, crafty is just so, it's huge. It can change your life. It does change your life.
What has changed for you through it?
Oh, the removal of being fearful. Just letting things go, just going with the flow. And how is just a lot about emotions, really. Like, it's actually been quite a psychological learning path. The whole thing. I just find being creative, being crafty, being creative, I don't know, it all comes down to connection again for me. The whole thing is connection. You just connect with people, with situations. It's so many different, it's opened up so many different avenues for me as far as different types of people. Like, I suppose this might not be the right answer to the question, but talking to Leighton before about the difference, how academia is so important in so many people's worlds, and it's way up here. Yet, a lot of academic people aren't able to interact. And a lot of people that are more crafty can interact more with people. And when the two work together, it's quite crazy what can happen. But separating them, I don't think is the answer. It needs to be integrated, because there's a lot of people out there that I know are that are very academic, and they are very creative and crafty, and yet they just don't allow themselves to explore it, because I think from the old world it's like, you don't want to tell too many people about that.
Like it's almost a hidden shame or something.
And it's and like when I was younger, you're a hairdresser. It's like, yeah.
So have you thought of extending your skills or involving others in your skills, helping your customers learn or
I'd like to
apprentice or something?
to teach. Well, I did
Oh,
a while ago. I don't think I will now,
sure,
but
sure.
yeah, when I was hairdressing, I had apprentices under me, but dealing with, other people's lifestyles is not what I want to do. Yeah. So, and talk about apprentices, they've got hangovers, they've got boyfriends, they've got all sorts of things, and they never turn up for work and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, I was bringing up 2 sons, and I just thought, no, I don't need another person to deal with. So
To manage.
I've kind of stopped
Yeah.
thinking along those lines, those ideas. But I used to train and teach for years in my hairdressing career, and I loved it.
Mm.
But I don't think I want to be responsible for that sort of thing anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like you're content in the space of that.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear, that your answer to people saying, why don't you just, stop doing hairdressing and just focus on your jewellery making, and, hearing that, well, part of what brings things to it is the connections that you make through your hair. Like the fact that I'm sitting here thinking, there's that.
The two go together in a funny sort of a way. Where I go from here, I don't know. My biggest desire and intention, I need to put it out there a little bit higher and stronger, is to be involved in movie sets, and create some fabulous, whether it's very back in the Middle Ages, sort of. I've just been to Greece, so you see all this beautiful old jewellery that was designed and made, and it was very simple and basic, but very beautiful. Whether it's like that for movies, like the Gladiator, or it's some dynamic, beautiful big ring or necklace. I don't mind, or crowns or whatever. I don't mind. I'd love to be able to do something like that. That would really make my heart sing.
When we make the Craft Eccentric movie,
Yeah.
you've got first dibs.
Yeah, I would. That would be something I'd really love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get Caitlin in it for sure.
Yeah.
And Ned.
And then.
Yeah, no, I'd love to do something, be on some, not necessarily be on some movie star, but that would be great. Just to go, wow, see it on the screen, and that would just really, that would blow my socks off.
Cool.
Yeah.
I understand you're going to Parliament House soon.
Yes, I am to witness my son's registration. As an architect.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Great experience.
I know. So it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Right, thank you, Jill. That draws this group of questions to a conclusion. Before we move on to the next section, is there anything in your professional world that you'd like to advocate, your own work, your own gallery or your studio, anybody you'd like to give a wrap up to now? Because what we're trying to do is, you've given us your time, and now with this vehicle that Leighton and I are developing, we're hoping that people will be watching it and they may be attracted to what you're saying, and hopefully it'll support the sort of things you're doing and the people that you'd like to talk about now.
Well, I think the biggest thing is to support, local people that are actually making it, hand designing and making. All of us, artisans, support the artisans and keep it offshore, keep it within. Onshore, yeah. And keep that alive, keep the artisan world alive, and have it valued.
What does that world need from to help keep it alive? What as artists, other artisans, what would that support look like?
Ooh.
How can this help that happen?
know.
That's okay. I just,
I don't
if it was
know.
like,
Like, I suppose what's coming to mind is, here in Brisbane, is building a stronger and more aware arts involvement, which I think they are doing down in West End, South Bank.
Mhm.
They're wanting that to become a really, have ateliers around where, you can go in and be part of a jewellery craftsmanship workshops and just more arts, more of that focus.
The part they used to be.
Like that, pardon?
That used to be the case a lot.
Yeah,
When-
like they had the men's shed.
Yes.
They need more for females too. Like they need more of that
Good
sort
point.
of stuff.
Yep.
So spaces that people can come and create in together.
Yeah, and be part of, and because it is a solitary when you're working on your own. Without it being being commercial, keep it
like a guild almost.
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, and just because they say, like, I believe Griffith, I think they closed a big part of the arts, small objects down, and all these things are stopping or minimalising.
What? Minimalising what?
Well, there's studios and the ateliers or the ateliers.
Commercial.
No, more
training,
more training, like Griffith
collecting.
University, the fine arts. I heard that they changed.
Categorising.
Pardon?
Categorising?
Well, I think there are courses that they no longer do
Yeah.
for different,
The
for
fine
different
arts.
fine arts.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
And
if you
one of them
can't
was-
learn...
they closed the jewellery.
So there's no spots for them.
Oh, well, there doesn't
Not
seem
homes.
to be.
Mm.
It doesn't seem to be.
Mm.
And it'd be really nice to see that
That's
happen.
part of why we're here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
do you have a group of jewellery makers who you...
I go to,
Yeah.
there's a fellow by the name of Matt Dwyer. He's got a studio over in Tenerife, and I go there every Monday, and he's just recently restarted up. And there's not many. There's the Brisbane Institute of Art over in where is the Albion over that way. But yeah, so I go to this one in Tenerife, and it's really good because it's nice because it's not regimented, as in we're all learning this and doing this. You are able to go at different stages and do different things. And he's just starting it up, so it's still a baby. It's a new thing.
So if there's any of these that have got like websites, etc., if you can let us know, Ned or Leighton know, that can be incorporated in this podcast. And if finally, in a couple of weeks, if I can come back to you and you might have thought of something that you would like to or ask on other points, etc., then we can include that as well.
Yeah, well, I might put it out to them on Monday, the group of people that I'm involved in, and talk to them and say, look, I've been involved in this. What would you like to see? Because quite a few of us, and one of my dreams is to have a creative hub somewhere. So, and in my own mind, I kind of think, I've got a little area over there for the hairdressing, and it's contained, so it's still private. But then have the jewellery studio over here, and then where people can come and work and do, and then people might want to paint as well. So I really would love something like to be involved in that, or be part of that, or even instigate something like that. It's just it's me taking those first jumps and leaps.
You already have today.
I'm a bit shy on all that. I can't
Done 2 jumps today.
I know, I've done 2 jumps. Yeah.
But what we're looking at here, Jill, with the various people that we interview, is trying to help generate some secret sauce for a process creative hub.
Yeah.
Between the people like yourself that we interview. That would be fantastic to have some sort of synergy in that regard between those folks. It's like you're looking at doing in the actual area, your content area. We're looking to try and do in the process area, and thus these questions.
Yeah.
Like a community of practice kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes. community process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And there's a lot of people out there that want to do things. And, like setting this up, I've done it for years. Like, I'd hate to think what I've spent doing it. Like, there's a lot of money and tools and equipment. And I've done lots of master classes. You do your initial... I haven't done a apprenticeship as such, but I've done the basic, intermediate and advanced. And then I've kept doing master classes just to keep evolving and keep growing and learning. And then I've redone it again, going back and doing this one that I'm doing now. And it's just, I want to perfect and build up on my stone setting because I'm not doing it all the time. So I'm kind of really zoning in on that at the moment.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this segment's completed. Thank you.
If you've made it this far, then we hope this is because you've been enjoying our content. So if you're not reading, watching, or listening to this on Substack, then we'd like you to visit us there and, of course, subscribe. We're at craftyeccentrics.substack.com. Substack is where we provide the full range of our content, both free and also some just for paying subscribers. It's where we hope to build a community of interest around craft. And subscribing there can really help us keep producing more content. Otherwise, just liking, subscribing, and sending our content on to others you think would be interested on whatever platform you're on is something we'd really appreciate.